Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are here to introduce you to some awesome student leadership opportunities that we have coming up. We have the resident assistant position, orientation leader, and peer mentor that we're going to be talking about today. So there are three different people on this call, and we will each be explaining each of these roles. My name is Ashley Borders, Assistant Director of Student Involvement. I use she, her pronouns, and I oversee the orientation leaders.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dawn Dillon. I'm the director of the First Year Experience and Retention, and I coordinate the Peer Mentor Program and serve as their supervisor.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cody Arroyo Green. I am the Assistant Director of Student Development and Training in the Office of Residence, Life, and Housing. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I have the joy of overseeing the RA, Resident Assistant Recruitment and Hiring process for our office.
Awesome. And so I know that a big question for some of you might be, why get involved? Why is it important to get involved? Why are there so many options? How do I know what is the right option for me? So studies have shown that you're more likely to have a higher GPA as well as be more on track to graduate on time if you were involved. It also links you to more opportunities in professional development that will allow you to be more likely to secure a job or internship in the future, as well as just being able to create a greater connection to the campus community and building stronger personal and professional skills that will take you way past your time at Peace.
So part of the application process will be for you to actually submit an online application. All of these applications for all of our positions are going to be online via People Admin. If you are a returning student who has applied for a student leadership position before, orientation leader, RA, or peer mentor, you're already in the system set up with an account. So you should just be able to click on the link for any job that you wish to apply for. And then you don't need to kind of create your account. You'll use that username and password that you created the account with. More than likely will be your WPU username along with your password. It is a single sign-on system. If you are a new applicant to any of these positions, then you will need to create an account. The QR code to the right of the screen will take you directly to a step-by-step overview for new and returning students on how to access your application portal or how to create your account. Just a heads up, it is specific to the peer mentor application, but it applies to all three of the student leadership applications. So if you need any assistance or you need a resource, if you're not sure how to create or to apply, this QR code right here will be a real quick one-stop shop for you to get all those questions you may need. If you're having any technical issues with People Admin, you're not able to get logged on, or you're not able to upload things, please contact Josh Hawkins. His email address is provided. He works in human resources. He does all of our student leadership applications and processes, and then the back end on hiring. So he knows the process. He knows working with students very well, and he will be a great resource for you if you're having any of those issues. For each of the applications, you will be asked to put in references. These are professional references that we can contact when we are making our decisions on who we should hire. So some of you may have not had to put a reference before and may ask, who do I ask, or how do I go about asking? You'll want to ask someone who can serve as a resource or confirm a position that you've previously had. They can speak to your work ethic. They can speak to your character. They can refer you to say, like, yes, I believe this person would be a great fit for a PM because they enjoy helping other individuals. Or they want to be an OL because they are great at leading group processes, or they're good in a group dynamic, right? So you want to find someone who's going to speak highly on your skills, who you are as a person, and your previous work that you have done, specifically within a professional setting. If you've never worked a full-time professional job, put a part-time supervisor. If you don't have a supervisor, if you've never worked a position before, if you've worked as a federal work study position, you can use that supervisor. You can use a faculty as a reference. You can use a staff member as a reference. If you're applying for an RA, probably don't use me as a reference because of conflict of interest. But if I have a relationship with you, you're applying for an OL, then yes, like come to me and ask if I would be a reference for you. So you kind of have a range of ways of who you can ask to be your references. We just want them to be able to speak highly and positively for you. Speaking of positive references, sorry, we'll go back one more time. When you ask someone to be a reference, please make sure you ask and just don't put their name down. So they are not caught off guard that you're asking them to be a reference. But when you ask someone to be a reference, I think it's always great to ask them if they can serve as a positive reference for the job that you are applying for. Unfortunately, there are people and supervisors who may put in a not so positive reference. So I think it's important to ensure when you ask someone if they'll serve as a reference that they're able to serve as a positive reference for any position that you're going to apply for. Perfect. Thanks. So you'll also be asked to do a resume cover letter as well. If you've never done this, a great place to start is going to be career design. We've included some great resources in this QR code here that you can scroll through that will help support, guide, and aid you in creating your cover letter and resume. If you have additional questions beyond that, you can always ask one of us, or you can try to make an appointment with Career Design through WPU Connect. It will more than likely be virtual, but they do appointments, so you can try to get in with them. But we've tried to put together a lot of resources in this QR code so you can have questions readily available or answers readily available to your questions here. Make sure that you add relevant leadership experience. If you're a first year or sophomore and all of your stuff is in high school, add that high school leadership experience or any positions you served in. We want to see that. If you are even a junior or senior and this is your first time applying for any leadership position, put leadership positions that you've done in the past, community service things you've done in the past. If you're an athlete, put you're an athlete, right? There's a lot of leadership that comes along with being an athlete as well. So we want to know some of those things that makes you a standout student leader to serve as a mentor or a role model or to be able to help and aid other students. So really highlight those things that make you special. And then your cover letter is really expounding on your experience from your resume, right? It could be, it needs to be an intro paragraph with another paragraph supporting the why you're applying and what makes you a good candidate for this position. And then like a wrap up paragraph as well. So about 3 paragraphs is all it really needs to be. But these are just things that we're going to be looking at as we read through all the applicants to make our decisions along with the interview process on who we should hire for these positions. So this is just as important in your application material as your interview as well. So if you have questions, use these resources, use us, Career Design as well. But hopefully these resources give you a good starting point on starting that resume and cover letter. Sweet. So now you've decided to apply and now you're like, what do I apply for? So we're going to talk to you about all of the awesome positions. I will not read all of these word for word, but just to give you an overview of what the RA position is really to foster the integrity, independent scholarship, and personal growth of our residents on campus. RA should always push to be helpful, approachable, outgoing, and be a resource and role model to their students. So you will assist in their academic endeavor. You will provide availability to your residents. You will assist with move-in. You'll assist with move-outs. You will foster and develop community within your floor. You will be really a go-to person for your residents. We like to say that an RA is like a walking billboard, right, of knowledge. They're a resource. You can kind of go to them for anything. And if they can't give you the answer, they should be able to point you in the right direction. So you kind of have to be a jack of all trades. You kind of have to know a lot about the inner workings of the university, referral processes, and what offices can best support our students. We also use our RAs to identify leadership within the communities because they really are our boots to the ground, ears to the floor, people who know our students the best. Another thing about the RA position is, along with programming and building relationships and fostering community, there is an on-call portion of the RA position where you will serve with other RAs in your community on an on-call rotation. We do not assign those up front. A lot of people ask, We allow you to choose your duty dates that best align with your schedule. So if you have a busy schedule, if you're an athlete, we can and will work around those as much as possible. But you will be responsible for assuming some weeknights and weekend duties. And then there's some admin duties, emails and stuff kind of in general. But this really kind of highlights the overall expectation of the RA, what you do. You live in the community with them. You serve as a resource. You serve as a guide and an aid to your students' success. So the requirements for this position is that you must have a 2.5 GPA. If at any time it falls under the 2.5, if you're an RA, you can be placed on probation. But we really want our RAs and our student leaders to also be academically strong as well. You're here first and foremost as a student to be academically driven, to further your knowledge and your degree. So we want our students to focus on that. So that's why we have the 2.5 minimum GPA. If you are a first-year student and you're waiting for your first cumulative to happen this semester, go ahead and apply. If you're not sure, we will look at and base it off of the end of the year. If you fall under that, we would then reach out to you about like next steps. You may stay in the position but start out on probation, et cetera, et cetera. So if you don't have a cumulative, go ahead and apply, and then we can kind of figure that out on the back end. And then for the RA position, you must be in good conduct standing. So if you're not sure if you're in good conduct standing, you can reach out to our office and we can let you know. But if you've never been through the student conduct process, you are in good conduct standing, or if you're not on any level of probation status, warning status, you're in good conduct standing. And then the other requirement is you must live in university provided housing. So we provide you a space to live on campus, and so you must live in that space while serving in your contract as an RA. Some quick required dates for the RA position. I know these are vague. As we look to the fall, we will have more solidified dates, but for the most part, they fall within this time frame. So you will do RA training and move-in, which happens about 1 week prior to campus opening. New student move-in happens about the second weekend in August. Village Green move-in will happen the following Saturday or Sunday after that campus move-in. There will be weekly staff meetings that will be decided upon in your staff, what works best for everyone, that you will meet once a week throughout the year. Winter break halls close about that first week-ish in December. A good rule of thumb is RAs are the first to arrive and the last to leave. So whatever that date is for closing, you will leave kind of the day after that closing date. And then we do a winter training about 3 days before campus opens in January. We help with new student move-in, and then any spring closing, which will be end of April into early beginning of May. You stay through graduation as well as an RA, and then you really kind of check out either that Saturday of graduation or the Sunday following. So this is just a quick kind of overview of what those required dates are. And then last is the compensation package for the RA position. RAs are paid a stipend and semi-monthly installments on the 15th and the end of every month. So that is a $2,000 stipend over the course of 10-month contract. So that is what you will be paid in student payment. And then you will get a parking decal free of charge for on campus. If you're an RA at Village Green, you also get a Village Green parking pass. You get early registration to register for classes. And then, like I said in the previous slide, your housing is included, which is why we require you to live in the university provided housing. So you are not charged for a housing rate when you serve as an RA. So $2,000 over 10 months and all of that, and free housing. So if you're interested in applying for the RA position, this is the application link here. You will see flyers, sandwich boards, other things coming out with the links and QR codes. And then our timeline for application, it will open on February 8th and it will close on February 21st. And so if you have any questions, reach out to a member of Res Life and Housing, and we will more than happily be able to assist you.
Awesome. Thanks, Cody.
Absolutely.
So our next opportunity that we have available is orientation leaders. And through this, we actually have two different types of positions available. So the first is orientation leader, also known as an OL. Again, like Cody said, I'm not going to read all of these bullet points word for word. All of this information is on the application as well as any promotional flyers. So if you ever need to go back and look, you can find them there. But you do have to be a full-time traditional undergraduate student, a rising sophomore, junior, or senior, have a 2.5 grade point average, as well as be in good conduct and academic standing. And we will also go over some required dates, but that will cover move-in day, pathways to peace, welcome week, and purpose at peace. And then just a couple of points about you want to make sure that you have a desire to help new students and families and make a difference at WPU, as well as have that ambition to grow as a person and a leader. And of course, if you have any questions about these minimum requirements, you can always email orientation@peace.edu and we can talk about that with you. The next position that we have available is the student coordinator. And the main difference in terms of just eligibility with the student coordinator is that to be a coordinator, you have to have been a previous WPU orientation leader. There's only one student coordinator position available, and they help organize the OL residence hall move-in process. They work 15 hours prior to OL training and serve as a peer mentor and leader to the other orientation leaders. Similar eligibility is being a full-time enrolled traditional undergraduate student, rising sophomore, junior, or senior, 2.5 grade point average, and as well as being in good conduct and academic standing and helping with all of the same things that orientation leaders help with. Again, if you have any questions about these minimum requirements, please email orientation@peace.edu and we would be happy to talk to you about them. So an orientation leader versus student coordinator, the main differences are that the student coordinator is a member of the new student orientation leadership team, along with myself, as well as the director of student involvement and our graduate assistants and interns. The student coordinator will supervise OLs and serve as the first point of contact. So it is that a little bit of an elevated role. And the student coordinator applicants must have previously served as an OL, as I stated before in the last slide. And then in terms of compensation, a little bit of that compensation is the room and board. So OLs and student coordinators are assigned to a residence hall during summer training and summer sessions. Again, just a quick side note, all of this information is based on if we move forward with an in-person orientation session in the summer. That is our hope. That is our goal, to have in-person orientation. However, it will be beyond our control if we cannot do that. And so some of these things, such as room and board, will change because we will not have room and board if we do have a virtual orientation. But all of that information will be relayed to the selected candidates as soon as we have that information. So just a quick note that all of this information about room and board and in-person things are contingent upon the status of COVID-19 in the university health and safety guidelines. All student staff are required to stay in their assigned rooms unless stated otherwise. The cost of these rooms are covered during this time, so you do not have to pay any extra for these living requirements, as well as all meals during orientation training and the sessions will be covered too. And meals will not be covered during the summer training break. So that is just between the two sessions. So that break between June 20th and 23rd, we will not be covering meals during that time. So the required dates for right now, we have spring 2021. We have an orientation leader welcome on March 15th. March 29th, we have a leadership workshop. And following that, on April 5th, we have a diversity, equity, and inclusion workshop. Through the summer 2021, we have June 12th through 26th. That includes OL move-in, OL training dates, as well as the new student orientation sessions. And as I previously stated before, there is a small break between June June 20th through 23rd, where you're not required to be on campus, and meals are not covered during that time, but we will resume on the 23rd after that break. The fall 2021 move-in dates are TBD at this moment, but as previously stated, OLs and student coordinator will have to help with move-in day as well as welcome week, purpose at peace, and all of that fun stuff. So again, those dates for fall 2021 will be shared as soon as they are solidified, but that is just an overview of the dates that are expected of these positions. So again, compensation with an orientation leader is $600 total payment that is paid bi-weekly. So in a total of 6 payments from the end of June to mid-September of 2021. And then the student coordinator is paid $700 total with a bi-weekly payment. Again, that equals out to 6 total payments from end of June to mid-September 2021. The application link for each of these positions is below. So please feel free to check out those links, and the applications are open from February 8th to February 21st. Now, a quick frequently asked questions in terms of student orientation leaders is, Cody touched on this a little bit earlier, but I've never done a resume. What do I do? So utilize your resources that Cody talked about at the beginning of the presentation. Also, the Career Design Center is always open, and they have plenty of online resources that we've already shared. But we also just want you to try your best. We understand that this is new for you, or it may be new for you, and that is totally okay. So although it is an important piece of the application, we do not want that to deter you from applying. And then what if you really want to be an OL, but you can't make one of the mandatory dates? So it's important that all OLs are at each required event. Each required training and event builds on the next, and it's essential for the growth and development of the team. However, if there are specific dates that you have in mind that you know that you cannot attend, I would suggest just reaching out to me. My email's at the beginning of this presentation, and just share those with me, because I'd be happy to talk with you about them to ensure that we are on the same page with those. So just feel free to ask. There's no harm in asking. And then I may need a disability accommodations. Am I still able to serve as an OL? Yes, 100%. The orientation team is open to all students. If you need to apply and you have accommodations, just contact orientation at peace.edu, and we are more than happy to get those set up for you. And lastly, am I too shy to be an OL? So our orientation team is very representative of the WPU student body. It's okay to be shy. That is not going to deter you at all from getting this position. Each OL will have a partner and be provided extensive training to be able to conduct tasks like facilitation of small groups, team building, and providing resources to new pacers. So the answer is yes, it is okay if you are shy or you consider yourself shy. That should not deter you from applying, because we would love to have you.
Hi, everybody. I'm excited to be able to talk about the third and final position that we have that we want to encourage you to apply for, and that's the peer mentors. I just like to say really quickly, a peer mentor is a role model, a resource, a helper, a confidant, a cheerleader, and really just an ally to all the first-year students. And you may have noticed, first-year student is going to have several folks that are going to be key roles to them. If they live on campus, they have their RA. All students will have gone through orientation, have an OL, and then every student is going to go through the FYS course, and so they'll all have a peer mentor. And so these groups work really closely together to really help, and in particular with the peer mentors, making sure the first-year students feel confident. So there's a few key components of this position. Is the first time that peer mentors meet their students are doing Pathway to Peace, which is the fall orientation program that happens right as folks move in and before they start fall classes. And so the FYS 100 course serves as their pathways group, and the peer mentor is the primary leader of that group along with the first year mentor. And then they transition actually into the classroom with the students. So every student, FYS 100 is a graduation requirement. So all of our incoming students will be taking this course. It It traditionally meets once a week for about an hour and a half. It's a 1-credit course. And peer mentors work really closely with the first-year mentors, who are the first-year FYS 100 instructors. And we work carefully to make sure that everybody's schedule aligns and that we have first-year mentors and peer mentors that are going to be good pairings to serve the students in their FYS 100 class. And then also the peer mentors will be serving office hours, slightly different than the OLs and the RAs, but you actually have office hours up in the CSS, or the Center for Student Success, and are available to work with your students one-on-one as needed then. So qualifications, these are actually very similar to what you've already heard from the other positions. You know, all these positions, we're looking for we want good role models, because every single one of these positions is a role model first. And so we're looking for folks that are active in the community, are good role models, and are just, practicing good ethical decision making and those types of things. You must be in good standing as well with conduct. Now, I would say if you've ever had a student conduct issue, that would not be a reason not to apply, but you want to just, again, make sure that you're able to explain that. And, oftentimes, folks forget the value of having made a mistake and learned from it and being able to overcome it. So those are the kind of things, as Cody mentioned, you might want to address in your cover letter, or say, here's some things, or here's how I was as a first-year student and how I've worked to overcome that, and the folks that have helped you with that. Again, we require a 2.5 GPA. We just need some flexibility in being able to attend pathways, and then also to be at the FYS class. You don't necessarily have to stay the entire FYS class. Many of y'all have already taken the course, so you don't necessarily need to feel like you're retaking it. But at the very beginning, it's really key for every peer mentor to be in there to share any announcements, to hear kind of the check-in and how students are going. Peer mentors typically are the ones that take the attendance and follow up with students who aren't there, kind of that peer-to-peer, hey, you got to go to class, and that's really important type of thing. So that's part of why we want to make sure everybody is able to be in the class at the assigned time. Attendance at any scheduled trainings or different kind of events that we have. And then the preference is given to someone who's taken the FYS 100 course, but it's not a requirement. So if you're a new transfer and you didn't take it, go ahead and apply if you have an interest. Nobody is getting ruled out for that, but sometimes it is helpful to have had the course. And these are all real subjective selection types of things. And there's a few things when it comes down to GPAs or objective, and have you taken the course or not, or objective ways. And so sometimes those come in when we're having a difficult decision between students. So that's why we list that. And so our selection process, you gathered, we all open up at the same time and we all close at the same time. Hopefully that makes it easy for you as you're trying to apply for any of these positions. So the application deadline is the 21st. Our process will be slightly different than my colleagues with the RAs and the orientation leaders, in that you'll meet with me and one other first-year mentor. So you'll have 2 interviews as part of that, and I'll notify folks if you're selected for an interview via email. And then if needed, we'll have callback interviews kind of mid-March, and I will let folks know at the latest by March 26th. It potentially could be earlier. Some of the required trainings and dates, we will meet at one point in April once everybody has been selected, and we'll just kind of walk through important stuff. Again, we have a slightly different training approach in that we have an online summer training course. It's a 1 credit hour course. It is of no charge to you, but you do get 1 academic credit. It runs asynchronously, so you can kind of do it self-paced. It'll start kind of mid-May and run through early August. And then we will have 1 week of training right prior to when new students move in. And then peer mentors need to be available to assist with move-in day, and then shortly later on that day is when pathways will start. A little bit about the compensation. Ours is slightly different in that it is compensated at an hourly rate. So you will use our friend Paycom and log in your hours. It pays $8 an hour. A peer mentor typically works 3 to 4 hours. Again, that really depends. Sometimes you'll work more hours that week. The next week you might work a little bit less, but the average is about 4 a week. You get paid for training separately. You get paid for pathways separately, but it ends up being about 104 to 105 hours each fall semester only. And again, this is a position that's just for the fall semester. Priority registration prior to the fall semester, so we can make sure you can maximize getting those classes that will fit in your schedule. I mentioned the training course. Benefits, and these are benefits for the peer mentor. I'll also say they're benefits for the other positions as well, but you really do develop your leadership skills. You're going to be successful in making a positive environment for your first year students. You know, you're going to be doing things that are really going to help and are very prominent on a resume. Folks that are hiring know what these student leader positions are, and it really is a heads up when you're looking to get that. In particular with the peer mentors, you have the classroom dynamics. So you're going to actually have some times that you might be teaching, and we'll learn about that. Satisfaction of helping first year students and students in general. Opportunities to explore careers in higher education. We are 3 higher education professionals, and so you'll be able to work with us and learn more about that. And then also just developing references that will really be able to speak to your ability to work and know about your work ethic in developing these relationships with your supervisors. And again, this is how you can find the application that's specific to the peer mentor role, either by the link or scanning this QR code. One thing I will mention, this can be a little confusing, but a student can either serve as a peer mentor or an RA. You can't be both. And the reason is they are positions that serve similar students at the same time. And literally, as you heard, their training and position responsibilities would oftentimes conflict. So that's why we don't allow folks to be either to serve in both of those roles. But a student can serve as an OL and then be either a peer mentor or an RA. So you can serve in 2 of these roles. I hope it makes sense as to why you can't apply, you can't be both a peer mentor or an RA. However, we strongly encourage you, if you are interested, to apply for all 3 positions. Some folks, you may be offered multiple positions. Some you may just be a better fit at this time for one position. But if you have an interest, we encourage you to apply for all 3 positions or any specific one that you care for.
Awesome. Thanks, Dawn. And if you have any questions as you were listening throughout this entire presentation, feel free to email us. Again, our contact information is listed here, and we would love to hear from you if you have any questions or concerns. And we thank you for taking time to view this video, and we hope to see your application soon.
Good luck.
Good luck, everyone. Yay.